Hello, friends. I'm back after some gap, and I'm here today to discuss some sectors in the Indian market because I find them, at an interesting juncture. So I thought, I let me do some analysis and present the same to you. So before that, here's a standard disclaimer. The content shared on or through my digital media channels are for information and education purposes only and should not be treated as an investment or trading advice. Please do your own analysis or take independent professional financial advice before making any investments based on your own personal circumstances. All right. Um, so let's start with the Nifty 50 index. The Nifty 50 has been clearly, in an uptrend in a bull run. As such, if you see on a weekly chart, after it broke out, in November of 23, it's been clearly, going up. However, in the last few weeks, it has been consolidating in a particular range, from 21,000 to around 21,800. And if Nifty were to break out of this particular range, then we can see the next uptrend. But we cannot make a second guess about that because we are yet to see that breakout being sustained. It made one attempt, but that clearly did not sustain. Um, so we'll have to wait and watch if it is able to break out. If it does, then it might, it's a good indication, for the index at that point of time. One another interesting aspect is that it has been taking support on the 50 SMA. This red line is the 50 SMA. So you can see that it has been taking support on this particular moving average as such. So it's at an interesting juncture right now, in my opinion. Great. All of the sectors, have been, fairly, uh, I would say, bull run as well, and there has been they're fairly extended right now. So I try to pick up some sectors where I see a bit of a consolidation or a bit of a correction. Doesn't mean that you can just straight away, go ahead and invest in those sectors, but they are, definitely at a very interesting juncture right now as we speak, right? So we'll start with FMCG. So if you see the FMCG sector on the weekly chart, um, it had a very good, swing, right from October of 23, to, I would say, January 24. In the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, it has been in a fairly aggressive uh, downswing as such. But having said that, it is at a fairly interesting position right now. Why? Because it is taking a 61.8% Fibonacci support. It has also it is also at the support level out of this consolidation zone right now. Yeah, but one thing against the sector that has broken the 50 SMA quite convincingly, but at the same time, it is now on the 200-day moving average as well. So if we see earlier, it has taken support and bounced back, almost taken support and bounced back. So again, it is at a very interesting juncture right now, and we'll have to see whether it is able to sustain or take support here or not. If it does take support and it continues to rise up, it again might be an interesting play, as such. Um, Next, I will want to discuss about the banking sector. Um, the banking sector, if you were to observe, right? I mean, it has taken the 200-day moving average support here. It took almost a support here and bounced. It took a support here and bounced. And now it is again at the 200-day moving average support, right? It also was in a certain zone and it tried to break out of that zone and came back. So if you look at the daily chart right now, it is again in a particular uh, consolidation zone, I would say, and we'll have to see whether it is able to break out of this zone. If it is able to break out of the 50 SMA, it might be an interesting play. Right now, if you were to look at, there's a small pattern which is forming here as well. Let me try to show that to you. Right. So if you see this, looks like a double bottom or a W pattern, as you may call it, as such to me. So if it were to break this, if it were to break this neckline, right, which is around almost around 53,000, then it might give us another upswing, right? But we are yet to see whether it is able to break. So the neckline and the 50 SMA are coinciding at a very similar levels. So it'll be interesting as to how does the index behave around the 53,000 level. If it were to kind of break past it, then we might see another upswing in this particular sector. Again, this is just an analysis and it's not recommendation. So please be careful, before you try to make any decisions as such to get into any stock with this in this index. Great. Uh, Now I would like to discuss reality sector. Reality sector, sorry. Um, so reality sector has been in a very good, upswing, right? I mean, it broke out of this particular zone. I think I had discussed this at that point of time, and then it has, taken a very, very good upswing. It is steadily taking support of the 20 SMA, and but now it has gone into a particular consolidation, which is good for the sector because it's been really rising, so it's good that it's consolidating. So very, very clear. If it were to again come out of this consolidation, we might see an upswing. It is taking a 50 SMA support again. This index, as you can see, has many times taken the 50 SMA support and bounced back, right? So let's see. So if you see 1, 2, almost here 3, 4, almost at the 50 SMA of 5, and now again, right? So 50 SMA has been a good support level for the realty sector as such. And it has again slightly taken a bounce, but it has to come out of this consolidation zone to give us the next upswing. But considering the large upswing it gave, I'm assuming it will take some more time, for the sector, to consolidate at, in this zone as such. So that's my view on the realty sector. Lastly, I want to talk about the utility sector as well. It's an interesting play because it has been doing very well, as such. It's been in a continuous, upswing, as such, and it's again kind of taken a 20 SMA support. It has taken 20 SMA support once, twice, thrice here again. But it's fairly extended on the weekly charts, right? So that's where I'm not very comfortable. But on the daily chart, it looks like a small, I would say, retracement and bounce level. So that's another sector you might want to look at and see if there are any interesting plays, in the auto sector, as such. So these are the five sectors that I spoke about. I also want to talk about IT actually. One second, let me see if I can. Right. So if you look at the IT sector, very, very interesting chart right now. So it was in a very, it was in a on the weekly chart. It was in a very long term. I would say double bottom pattern, as you can see here, right? I mean, so it went down, then came back, and then broke out of this, and it's now completely, given a good upswing after it broke out, of this midpoint of the W pattern. So that's where I see that it could be giving us a good upswing, as such, if it were to break out of this resistance now. But please see that it is in a fairly extended zone. It has moved up from almost 26,000 to 38,000 in in a single, just with one particular retracement. So there could be a bit of a consolidation here, or it could retrace back, as such. But this looks like one sector, which could give, another upswing if it were to break out of this resistance line or the all-time highs convincingly. So out of all the sectors, I'm more bullish on the IT sector, as such. So keep looking out, for the sector, and see how it behaves after it were to cross this particular resistance at around 39,000. Okay, great. I hope this was helpful. I tried to cover a few sectors which I found interesting. So I hope to come back, with another video, as such on how the markets. And it will be great if you can, subscribe to my social media channels and give me any feedback or suggestions, regarding my posts that I have been putting. So these are the various channels on which I am available. So please feel free to kind of follow this. With that, thank you and have a great day ahead. I hope to see you next time.